I'm glad that they're being thorough. I haven't got to the point where I'm assuming I'm assuming it's gonna take an about face and go in a
Yeah.
different direction. I do know that when they started filming, it was before any of the current allegations were out. So I'm sure they had a completely different agenda with the documentary that they had to change on the fly. But I'm glad that they're telling the story. I had no clue about McMahon's childhood. I didn't know anything about his relationship with his father. So it's been eye opening even for someone who knows Vince. I mean, I wouldn't say we're buddies, but I mean, I do know Vince, and just to think of how guarded he's been. I did think it was funny when he's talking about going through and just raiding the territories of all their stars. And then when it happened to him with WCW, how he didn't see it, how he thought it was unfair. Like
Yeah.
that's just ego and hypocrisy at
Yeah.
its finest. At its finest,
I love that
it's
they gave the Bischoff perspective though, because I was like,
yeah,
Eric's 100% right. Vince did the same exact thing in the
exact
80s.
same thing, exact same thing. And he did it because he was able to pay guys more. I mean, that's all it is.
Yep.
At the end of the day, money talks, and the more money you're going to make, that's where you're going to go in this business. And he went up against somebody with a bigger bank account, and all of a sudden, then the evil billionaire Ted Turner.
Yeah, and it wasn't
It's just,
Bischoff. It was Ted.
yeah,
It was him versus
yeah.
Ted. Yeah.
It's just hypocrisy at its finest.
I love
You
that they
know,
asked him though. They said, "Isn't that a little hypocritical?" And he's like thinking about it. He's like, "Well, I guess
yeah,
it can be viewed a little bit hypocritical." It's like, yeah, a little
yeah,
bit. It was the whole thing is
yeah.
a
It's
hypocritical. Yeah.
if you open up Webster, that's the definition
Yes.
of it. Exactly.
Yes. And,
Exactly. But most people don't. Most people don't like their own actions being thrown at them against them. Most
right.
people don't like that.
Yep.
You know.
Do you think that he was being truthful with a lot of stuff that he was saying on there, or not? Because he kind of says in the beginning, like, you never know when I'm being truthful or not.
Yeah. I've when I worked with the Brooklyn Nets, we had a guy come in and lead seminars, just sales seminars. But one of the thing he did was teach us how to, because a lot of times if you're trying to get a yes from somebody, you can tell with their expression immediately if it's going to be a yes or not. And if it's not going to be a yes, don't waste your time on trying to get a no to a yes when maybe they're just trying to come up with, I don't want to hurt this person, or they're coming up with excuses. And one of the things they taught us is when you ask somebody a yes or no question and they have to stop to think of the answer for 3 beats, you know 2, 3, they're coming up with a lie. And a yes or no question. If I have to ask you what was your outfit, of your senior prom? Okay, well, that might be something you have to think about. And what
Yeah.
color tux did I wear? That's something you might have to go back and think about. But if I ask you a straight yes or no question, something that's on the top of your head that and you have to stop and think about it, you're not getting a truthful response. And I noticed that Vince does that a lot in the doc. Now, that said, I don't know how they edit it. I'm sure they have creative editors in there. And I also know that in the editing process, sometimes you can ask we don't see the interviewer asking the question. So I do know that they could be asking another question and placing it with a response. I have seen television done that way, but
Oh yeah.
that's just to build intrigue with the audience, So I don't know. I would say we're probably getting 60 to 70% of an honest Vince, so
Yeah, because he even kind of says like he's like guarded. He doesn't know which
yeah.
McMahon he wants to let out, so he's kind of thinking of his answers or being very guarded about it for sure.
Yeah.
But
Well,
sometimes he says some wacky stuff.
yeah. Well, also when they say, how much of, I remember one part they said, how much of Mr. McMahon, the character, was Vince? And and none. And then everyone else that they asked the exact same question said, well, there's a little bit, and
Yeah.
others said, yeah, that's Vince. That's Vince just with the volume turned up, or what you're seeing, that's Vince. And I don't know if it's just maybe just self-actualization. He couldn't accept that that Vince is Mr. McMahon. I do know that a lot of times, the way we want to see the way we want the world to perceive us is not the way they do.
Yeah.
So, and there's there's not many people that are going to view Vince and feel an overwhelming feeling of just he's a victim. Not many people.
Right. Yeah, definitely
Yeah.
not. What would
He's
you
definitely going. He wants to be the victim. You can tell,
Yeah,
and all that. Yeah.
which is crazy. A billionaire victim? Like, yeah, I don't know about
Yeah.
that.
I mean, yeah. I do know that when you get to Vince's age, you've already planted the seeds of your life, and what comes up, that's it was sowed by your hands.
Right.
So
Yeah, well
yeah,
said. Yeah, definitely.
yeah.
What would your answer
That
be?
hey, that said, I'm not sitting here talking to you without Vince McMahon.
Right.
And I can also compartmentalize the two. I saw a side of Vince that I will always appreciate, and I will always have respect, and on some level a love for the man, and that'll upset people. Does that mean I agree with everything he's done or how he's treated people? Absolutely not. But I can compartmentalize the two. Yeah,
Right.
I'm sure Jeffrey Dahmer's parents, didn't appreciate what he had in his freezer, but
Right. Right.
they still loved him as their son. So
Yeah, there's different parts of him and different relationships that he had. It's not just like all
absolutely,
encompassing 100% this way.
absolutely. I don't view people as an old Roman, Caesar type of mentality, either thumbs up or thumbs down. It's people can have I can have different views on just different parts of people's lives.
Right.
And
How they
and
are to
and
you.
I also know, I hope people don't look at the worst parts of my life and make a flat judgment on me. I
Yep.
hope they're able to go and just look at the whole, at what I'm trying to do, and maybe where I've fallen short. Just, hey, he learned from that and moved on. That's what I hope, anyway.
Like Bruce was bringing up a good point, kind of saved his wife. He had terminal cancer and he
Yeah,
gave him, all this money and support and help and doctors. And all. So, I mean, there is obviously a few different sides to a person.
absolutely, absolutely. Yeah. Listen, the night, like I've said it, the night my mom died, and I don't even know how he found out. I went and did all the stuff, the legal stuff you have to do with the coroner coming, picking up a body, and I'd done all that. My mom had passed. I think it was within about 4 hours, and I'm driving the hour drive home, and I get a call from Vince. I don't know how he knew. He didn't have to call. He could have waited till the next day. He could have had his secretary called. He could have sent a text message. There's a lot of things he didn't have to do, and he did. So, I mean, I don't know. As human beings are, people are onions, man. There's a lot of layers to people,
Yep.
and that's again why I refuse to see people the way the Coliseum did, thumbs up or thumbs down.
Right. What would you answer that question though if they said to you and you're on the dock, like, is Mr. McMahon like Vince or is Vince like Mr. Like, what would your answer be if they asked you about it?
Oh, he's definitely that. Yeah, he's definitely that. That said, that's with the volume turned up.
Right.
The Rock is Dwayne Johnson, but with the volume turned up. Steve Austin is that with the volume turned up. That walk Steve has where it's a little like I can't describe it. It's just for some way he makes it look cool. That's how he walks backstage when the cameras aren't on him. That's just who he is. And to, I mean, you have to be like a Doink the Clown or something to have, a gimmick completely not be who the person is.